Welcome to another episode of the Rocky Garza Show. I'm your host, Rocky Garza, and I am so grateful for you joining me again this week. We are walking through our Achieving More Than Success system over the course of the next few weeks. If you've missed our previous episodes, we have did an intro to the Achieving More Than Success system. We've done part 1 and part 2 of The Shoulds Are Killing You, and today I am very, very excited because we are going to walk through the first part of the Great Life Myth. But before we do that, I want to remind you, as always, if you are interested in learning about what we are up to, what is our next event that you can attend virtually free for you, please go to rockygarza.com/achievingmore. Again, that's rockygarza.com/achievingmore. If you are a business leader or a business owner and you are looking to discover how do you build a life that you actually want without sacrificing who you are, and you feel like you're your number one critic and you're the problem and you're in your own way, go to rockygarza.com/achievingmore and learn about what we have coming up there. As we jump in today, we are talking about the Great Life Myth. One more time, that is the Great Life Myth. You see, over the course of the last decade, one thing that I have found is that we have all at times sort of succumbed to this idea of the Great Life Myth. This idea that there is this great life out there. If we could just do this, if we could just have that, if we could maybe get this, if we could maybe get that, then we too could have a great life. When the reality is that when we go through and we start looking at, as we did in our previous episodes, the fact that the shoulds are killing us, we're looking at this idea and recognizing there's so many things that are robbing us. They're causing us to freeze. They're causing us to act erratically. We get tired. We get burnt out. We're not sure what to do. Well, ultimately what we want to do is we want to sort of begin to unpack the Great Life Myth, this commonly held societal belief and norms about what we're doing, what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to do it. And I think in that today, I really want to dive into what those things are. See, I think oftentimes one of the main components I find in sort of our inability to define success or define what a successful life looks like, it really comes down to that we get caught in the weeds, the proverbial weeds about this life that we're supposed to have. What the great life is supposed to be. See, if we could get the house, we could get the picket fence, we could get this, then we would be happy. But if you take any amount of time on any social platform and you see hundreds and hundreds of people, if not thousands, attempting to communicate that the reason you're not happy is because your life does not look like theirs. Or rather, part of the reason you're unhappy is because you've not attained a certain level of success with a certain level of item, and they're telling you that are needed to be successful. See, one of the greatest misconceptions that I find when it comes to our ability to build a life that we want, one of the biggest mistakes that you're making in your inability to build a life that you want is that you daily look at platforms and people and you think that in order to be successful, you must build a life like theirs, as opposed to recognizing that the only way you're going to feel satisfaction and ultimately peace is when you decide you're going to build a life that looks like yours. If you are out there and you are working with someone, you have worked with someone, or you have been pitched by a consultant or a coach that says, if you want to be happy, be like me, I'm telling you, save your money. You need to be looking for someone who's saying, if you want to be successful, be like you. And if they're not helping drive you into becoming better, becoming truer, and to becoming a greater representation of who you are, discovering what that is and how to do that, then you're going to create a life that is an imitation, and you're not going to create a life of deep conviction. And so today, I want us to talk through the Great Life Myth. What if, in fact, there was a way for us to discover what does it look like to build a life that we really want? See, one of the key elements that sort of robs us of creating our actual great life as opposed to the Great Life Myth is these societal narratives, social narratives that are sort of running around all the time. We get them from our friends, from media, from culture, sort of shape the view of a great life. Take a great movie, and let me be very clear, I'm not knocking this. I think it's a great, fantastic, and wonderful thing. I'm saying it more as a mechanism for us to sort of look and recognize where did it come from. But how many of us have been told that you too can have the American dream? Now, I want to be clear, this has nothing to do with America or dreams. It has to do with this idea that we've been sold that anybody can do anything from anywhere. And I don't want to rob us the idea of opportunity. I love that we live in a place where we have so much potential opportunity. What I want to be able to challenge us in, though, is why do we mistake our present gift and our peace today for the idea of an opportunity that we may not even want? See, as we unpack the great life myth, there's all these inputs telling us what is good, what is bad, what's enough, what's too much. You're too right, no, you're too left. Everybody today is an extremist. You're financially behind, you better catch up. Wait a second, it must be nice to be that financially free. Oh, you're debt free? Oh, I see. You're debt free. You love Dave Ramsey, huh? Oh, you're leveraging debt on real estate and equity to build a life. You read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, didn't you? I got it. I see. Oh, wait. Oh, no. Your kids are too smart, right? So, well, what special school? You're not going to send them to regular school, are you? You're going to send them to the good school, aren't you? Oh, hey, you're too much. Hey, calm it down a little bit. Like, hey, you're just too manly. You're a little too alpha for me. I'm gonna need you to calm. Hey, you're gonna need to go to a camp so that you can discover how to be more alpha. Hey, 10 million in revenue? Wow, that's unbelievable. 30 million in revenue? Wow, that's kind of a small company, isn't it? You see, every one of these comments is based on this one-size-fits-all life. It's based on this idea that if I could show you that I have something that you don't, that other people find valuable in me, then maybe if you found it, people would find value in you. Do you see how that breaks down? Do you see how the great life myth falls apart when we're willing to really look at it in that way? See, when we're really willing to look at the great life myth, we can see how silly it sounds when we go, if you want to be successful, be like me. Better yet, if you want to be successful, be like them. You want to be successful, be like him. You want to really do it, be like her. Friend, my challenge for you is, who's challenging you and encouraging you to be like you? Don't we wonder why sometimes we fall victim to the great life myth? Because the great life myth says that you can be like anybody else that you want. And building a life of deep conviction that you actually want, well, that looks like being like you. There's a standard we create for ourselves based on a million things that we don't want. We have a million reasons to chase a million ideas that were never ours. So I want us to think about, what is it that we really want, right? I had a message, a DM from one of you yesterday asking about this and asking about what's coming up, and we were talking about the great life myth. And I asked you, what do you really want? And your response to me, I'm going to just read it for us here. Here's what you shared. You said, Rocky, when I consider what I really want, I'm embarrassed. I feel like it's so silly. It's not even worth pursuing. And when I pushed on you, this is what you said. You said, I feel like I'm supposed to want something more than what I have, but all I really want is to enjoy the life that I've built and be satisfied with it. What a beautiful realization. And this realization doesn't stifle growth. This realization doesn't stop future dreams or plans or anything that could happen later or that we pursue. I want to be clear, this is also not a pitch to say that to have a great life means to have less than you actually want. All I'm saying is that I hear this and go, I hear a cry for help from someone, from one of you who wants to be affirmed and confirmed that what you want is good, and it's okay to want something that you want, that you believe is good. Another one of you messaged me and said, Rocky, I've been playing small. This entire time I believed in order to create a successful home life, I have to keep my business small. but I'm realizing that the growth of my business may actually help the growth of my family. And I think I've begun to find a way to do that. See, on the surface, we hear these two stories and we immediately go, these are wildly different. These are vastly different. They're not even remotely the same. And yet I hear both of them saying the exact same thing. I hear both of them saying that this is what they want. One person saying, what I want in my life is I want to be satisfied with where I sit today and believe it is good. And I hear one person saying, I have been satisfied with where I'm at, but there's more things that I want to pursue. And my response to both of those is, and they are good. You see how we can debunk the great life myth and find a way and the ability for us to be able to see these two things sort of line up next to each other so we have an idea of what building a life we actually want looks like? I don't think any one of us would hear either one of these examples and tell either one of these individuals that they're wrong or it's bad or they can't have it or it's not going to work. But if we just look at it at face value, we would look at it differently. If we just looked at it and said, hey, let's just hear me that thing. Oh, you mean you're settling, you're playing small. The other one, we go, hey, be careful. You're going to become something you don't want to become. When the reality is that's not what either one of them said. What they said is that it's going to take something dramatically different that they're going to need to do on a daily basis to create the kind of life that they actually want. One of which is that peace with where I am, and one is peace in the pursuit. And so which one of those is correct, friend? I would challenge you to look in the mirror and ask yourself, which one is right? See, if we don't take a step back to assess who they are, what they believe, how they live, and what they actually want, then we would both say they're wrong. What do you say about your life when it comes to the societal and cultural norms about things? What do you say? See, outside of the societal norms when it comes to what it is we're supposed to do to make everybody happy, right? We have these cultural norms as well. I have the rare opportunity and privilege to communicate with so many of you, right? I think about this from my perspective, right? And the amount of people that I get to talk to, as I'm looking at insurance agents, I'm looking at brokers, I'm talking to real estate agents, I'm talking to business owners. I know some of them, they talk to me, they say, Rocky, my Latino family, they say I'm too much. I need to get off the internet. I need to get a safe job. I need to not be posting every day, right? I hear people say, hey, Rocky, to my American family, to my white family, right? I'm the guru of the family. No one quite sure knows what I do for work. And so it's always sort of this idea of what's happening, what's not happening, what matters, what doesn't. To some of my friends, I'm always in coaching mode. These are your words shared with me. To others, that everything I can do is met with oh, must be nice. Oh, you can just go do that. Oh, 3 o'clock on a Thursday. How can you? 20 years ago, working from home was a pipe dream, my friend. Today, 5 days in the office, we say is criminal. 20 years ago, the white picket fence was all that we needed. House, family, 2 kids, 2 dogs, a cat. Now, if we don't own 5 rental houses and own a picket fence company, then can we really be happy? Nicer cars, bigger houses, more savings, less screen time. Budget cars, rent to own, invest everything. Your phone is your network and your network is your net worth. And the narrative for what a good life is consistent, and it's always you don't have enough, you don't have enough, you don't have this. Everything that you were supposed to want 20 years ago is now a waste of time, and everything you want today is too late, and everything you think you need for tomorrow will never happen. And we wonder why we feel caught in this consistent spiral of chaos and this idea of perpetually never enough. We recognize and see that the cause of illness is through the roof, anxiety through the roof, depression through the roof. Specifically for men, the suicide rate has only increased over the last decade. Because we're on this constant pursuit of what the great life myth is supposed to be. We don't take time to step back and reassess who we are today, what we actually want, and where we're going. We wonder why we find ourselves in the perpetual treadmill or hamster wheel that we cannot get out of. So my question for you as we wrap today, What have you been told over the course of your life that constitutes a good life? What lie have you been fed about what you want versus what's actually good enough? See, when we can see that once the shoulds have been admitted, once we can see that we are aware of what they are, I think we begin to recognize that life isn't as great as they said it would be because we've been living life for someone else. If you haven't yet gone back and listened to the previous 2 episodes, I encourage you to do so. And today, in part 1 of the Great Life Myth, I encourage you to ask yourself, what have you believed about the great life? What have you believed about the life you're supposed to have or supposed to build? What have you believed about what it is that you actually want? Have you been told it's too small and you dream too small? Have you been told it's too much and it's too big and it'll never happen? What's robbing you of your peace? What's robbing you from the reality of where you want to go? Ask yourself today, have you fallen victim to believing the great life myth? It's a pleasure being with you today. As always, please make sure and check out rockygarza.com/achievingmore to check out our latest event we have coming up for you, free, virtually. We'd love for you to be able to attend. You can always catch what the next thing is there. And again, that's rockygarza.com/achievingmore. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.